Hey guys, one of the reasons why I give honest reviews despite troll factories and people that would shut me down because they don't like it when they hear the truth because the truth isn't what they want or that I lie or anything is because there are so many good products out there, and especially in my line of work, Shrinky Dinks, I notice it the most, where the product is really great, but the word doesn't get out, honest reviews aren't done, and then people don't buy the product, and so then it goes away. So today I want to talk about Shrinky Dinks and the Shrinky Dinks brand of shrink film, which is what you use to take the sheet of plastic and shrink it, and Grafix brand, Grafix. And ultimately, there's this new brand I just heard about last night. I don't have any yet to review it, called Nufun, Nufun, that I'm hoping to dive into in the future. And I am going to tell you why. And we're going to start with Shrinky Dink. And what I'm doing is I'm digging through my Shrinky Dink paper box. Yes, that is something that I was working on last night just to see if it would work out. And we will carry on from there with that. It's going to be my example. And I'm finding my Shrinky Dinks. This is for inkjet. I did try, by the way, doing round circles on the other kinds of Shrinky Dinks that are not necessarily inkjet with the same results. So these comments pretty much are going to apply to Shrinky Dinks in general. A couple of years ago, I used to make these beautiful charms, and they were awesome, and they were gorgeous, and they were always in dimension, and there was only a little bit of a problem, and then something happened, and now if you go to some places like, say, I don't know, Hobby Lobby's reviews or whatever, and there's one review I read last night that says, in caps, "Run from this." Uh, because now, instead of having lovely, even not even a semicircle, like, find this again, this, but shrunk down, you get this. Does that look like a circle to you? If you think this oval is a circle, you need to reconsider kindergarten. Maybe do some repeat classes, because this is what you get consistently. And there are tutorials all over the internet about how we do some math, figure out the scale. Why should I have to do that when the product used to be a very good product and now it's this god-awful monstrosity? The reason why I got into playing with doming and epoxy resin is because not only is it horrible looking like this and the edges are rough and you can just see that it's a very substandard product, the top is really rough. They didn't used to do that. When they shrank, they would shrink oh so perfect. The sides would be smooth and the top would be this beautiful glossy smooth, and no longer does that. When Shrinky Dinks first started to do this, I went through 3 packs. I wasted money, and it's not just buying the pack by you, it was going an hour out of my way to the only place that carries it because I really needed to get some stuff done. So that was a lot of gas money to buy the product. I finally called the company about it, and there was this woman who answered, and I can't remember her name. I remember the name of the lady at Graphics, but not this lady. And she was really, really defensive and rude and acted like my dissatisfaction with the product was a personal hit, which, by the way, is why I began to make reviews, because I realized that the climate of the world is so bad that you can't even say, hey, I'm not happy. I'm not happy with how you cut my hair. I'm not happy with the customer service you gave. I'm not happy with this oval, without somebody using getting upset as a way to silence you. And I feel that the consumer should know when there's a good product. So this is Shrinky Dink. Very consistently. Let me show you the other one. I had a whole batch. I gave up because it's been this way since it began a couple years ago. And last night, while looking around, trying to find a better product to compare to or find or try, I found out that the Shrinky company had actually changed ownership, and that's when the problem began. I don't know if there's a correlation so much as, saying that, the evidence is not necessarily causation, is like saying, well, yes, I did have sex, but that might not be why I got pregnant. After a while, when you've got a high ratio of A equals A squared, probably it's a causation. So, I don't know. I don't know enough about the politics, don't care to research. The company has really, their product has really went downhill. It's terrible. Oh, it's god awful things. They're not even thick like they used to be. They used to come out so thick, so shiny, so pretty, a little bit of shine, and you were done, and they were the beautifulest things. So that's how So moving on, but I'm going to show you something because I have a thing. I have a thing. You ready for this? Because here is my stack of inkjet Shrinky Dink paper. As of last night, I said, why am I wasting my time? This is the definition of insanity. And I don't know, I'm going to give these away to something with kids who won't care if it comes out looking like crap. Ooh, ah, they got to watch it shrink. Ooh, fire. But I'm not going to be trying anymore. I am done. I am done with Shrinky Dinks. I am so done. But you know what I have? You know what I have? I have. Da-da-da-da-da. Yes, it did come out of a Shrinky Dink thing that I've been keeping it in. This is my remaining sheet of the original Shrinky Dink inkjet paper that would shrink well. Look how beautiful that is. Look how shiny that is. You can see a texture on here. You can even see, look at this, look at this, look at this. You can see, this just basically looks like a piece of cardboard, really. I mean, you can actually see the difference. I mean, good Shrinky Dink paper, shiny. The kind that's no longer made. This is probably like the unicorn of Shrinky Dink paper. Crappy Shrinky Dink paper. So I hold it and I keep it for nostalgia's sake. I do have these, and last night discovered that they will go through my laser printer without messing things up. Do not try this at home. Do not try it at home unless you're sure you can buy another printer in case you mess it up. But mine did, and I haven't really, but these also tend to shrink a little oblong, but I'm not done. The jury's not completely out on, this is the bright white, so that's Shrinky Dinks. So if I had to rate the entire whole kit and caboodle, I don't think I could be able to, maybe 1 star for people who don't give a holy crap. But I like my charms to look good. That's why I have learned so many things about resin and cutting and die cutters. And I know enough to almost have my own little graphic die cutting shop just about at this point. Just a little. I still got some learning curves. But the point is, I've learned a lot, all because Shrinky Dink sucks. Okay, so let's go on to Grafix. Yeah, if you're not familiar with the Grafix shrink paper, a lot of people say that this is a superior paper. The brand name is Grafix, and I just happen to. I don't really have a lot of Grafix paper. I don't, because ordering's difficult for me. If I happen to already be in Hobby Lobby and the thing's there and I'm spending money, it's actually easy for me to boost the economy the traditional way than it is to actually order it. But I'll show you how superior it is. Now this is a black, white, and yellow version of the same design, and you can see the distortion is not as bad. It's still not a circle, but if I were, say, making a unicorn or a mermaid or something, I could work with this just about. And I actually managed to get one that I was reasonably okay with a circle, but what I did is I baked them one at a time and pulled it out and had to, with my fingers, because using an oven mitt didn't work, push some of the oblongness back into shape as quickly as possible, and that's how I got it as round. It's workable, but because I'm picky, that's just also a very, very, very slow process. At $5 a charm or $10 or whatever, you can bet that I'm only doing this for the fun of it, right? So, but with Grafix is workable. However, Grafix has the same issue. Thin, you can see it's kind of crappy. I was able to get it more flat. With Shrinky Dinks, it was just an impossible endeavor. It's rough. So I still have to do the doming, which is fine, which is fine. The colors come out, this is pretty good, but this is yellow, and yellow can only darken it so much. But I have noticed that with the Shrinky Dinks, to backtrack a little bit, the colors no longer shrink as true as the old days, which is another problem. And they're like, change the contrast, do this, other. What? No. So what I did is I would bring up the line art at a different level and have it print just straight black, and then bring the other stuff down to about 50% to get reasonable colors. Grafix also shrinks less. Although I don't know, those god awful. This looks like it only shrunk halfway, right? Maybe it looks like the graphics might have actually shrunk more compared to the Shrinky Dink. So, you know, same trick with the color. Bring your line up on a different layer. Make sure your lines are black if you want them to be black, because they don't really go dark and crisp black any other way, at least not with my work. And do your colors at 50% so they're kind of washed out. But yeah, it's not as bad. Not as bad. Meh. You know, they're still oblong, and they're consistently oblong. That's what drives me crazy. They're consistently oblong, no matter what you do. So, you know, I don't know why they cheapened the process, but there are a lot of very unhappy charm crafters, because some real works of art can be made from Shrinky Dinks. You know, anything that could be considered a child's toy can be turned into fine art if you know what you're doing and whatever. So, now we're going to move on. You know, Grafix, I can't give them 5 stars because of it, but I can tell you this. When I called them about the problem that day, because I started calling companies because I was so mad at Shrinky Dinks, and they were very, in fact, the lady who I spoke with, her name was Mary. I was supposed to send her samples, and then life happened, and I feel really guilty about that, but it's been too long, so I won't bother now. So this is what I'm up to, and because my supplies are limited, I'm very careful, so God knows when I'm going to be able to take these next steps. This is actually, I don't know, this, believe it or not, I ordered directly because I tracked a lot of the Shrinky Dink paper manufacturer, China. Just a lot of stuff that kit is not made here comes from China, just so you guys know. And I'm against the slavery racket, but if I have no other outsource that's affordable, I have to do what I got to do, just like we all do, right? So I bought this a couple of months ago, and it's a sample pack of all things. It's got glow in the dark, and I'm going to pull out the glow in the dark. Now, the glow in the dark paper, I can tell right now, is thick, kind of like the bright white, but it's coated, so it will glow in the dark. It's rough, so when it shrinks, it's going to shrink and be rough like one of these. I haven't tried them yet because, as I said, my resources are limited. So I'm hoping in the next few days, because I have a craft show coming, so I'd like to have some new things on the table, and I have some cute ideas that I'm wanting to produce out. I'm hoping to be able to say something about this, even though there's no brand name attached to this, but I can at least tell you where I got it from. But first things first. So there's this, and I don't think this one is made anymore. It's Darcy's Heart and Home Inkjet Shrink Plastic. I think I got it on sale or something. So reviewing this one's not going to matter, but hopefully I'll get something out of it. But the new fun, N-U-F-U-N. Here's my plan. I'm going to keep these god-awful errors of bad manufacturing, not on my part. And I am hopefully going to order some new fun N-U-F-U-N paper. Now, I have already seen it in action from another YouTuber, Heather. Happened across her channel, happened across her discussing it, where she had been given some to try out, and watched her bake it, and her items were not that skewed. So I did a little research, and it turns out that New Fun, N-U-F-U-N, has a reputation of coming out as one of the best. So then I went to the company, and I realized that they're starting to cut back on their stock. Why? Because even though their stuff may be superior, once again, people can't get past the Shrinky Dink barrier to know that there are better brands out there. Shrinky Dink is not what the item is. Shrinky Dink is a brand. This is called Shrink Plastic or Shrink Paper. And so I'm hoping to get some New Fun paper so that I can compare to these monstrosities, these god-awful things. It's going to, you know, I have to wait till payday, sadly. But when I do, I will, you know, in the meantime, I'll be designing some cute things. You know, I'm thinking maybe, you know, because I've got this glow-in-the-dark paper, maybe a ghost or tin, you know. I'm wanting to make lapel pins. I know it's lapel. It's a thing between me and my hubby. Just let it go. Lapel pins. Lapel. And I'm hoping to make lapel pins because charms are great, but I also like lapel pens, and people absolutely adore lapel pens. So this is producing something that I know you guys will like. So I'm wanting to make some lapel pens, which means that because of how lapel pens end up looking, I'm wanting them to come out well. And currently, even if this were perfectly round, I don't know if I would be happy with it. I just don't know. If you know about the Shrinky Dink technique of fusion, because I have some black sheets for a graphic in here, but I've noticed that the black shrinks a lot more true, or it used to. I don't know if it does now because this is an old sheet. It used to shrink a lot more true than the inkjet kind, and it would be great if I could do like a fusion so that you have the image on the top and then you have the black layer in the back. That would make me very happy. Yes, it would. But we'll see how it goes. And that is my Shrinky Dink shrink plastic adventures for now. I welcome your thoughts. How have things been for you? Have you been as dissatisfied with the Shrinky Dink brand as I have been? How do you feel about Grafix? Has anybody out there besides Heather used the new Fun brand? I would love to hear about it. So now I'm gonna go. I've got to go draw pictures. I've got auditions for shows because I am the diva. Me and my evil hair.